Okay, thank you everyone for joining. We are here for a press briefing for January 10th, 2023 regarding the storm incident that we've been dealing with for the last couple of days. I'd like to bring up our Incident Management Team 3 Operations Chief, Anthony Stornetta.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Anthony Stornetta. I'm one of the unified commanders for the Santa Barbara County Type 3 Incident Management Team assigned to the incident. I just want to give you guys a brief update. I know there's a lot of speakers today. I can answer questions offline. To total right now, we have run over 400 storm-related calls. We have 265 firefighters assigned to this incident. We have agencies represented from Cal OES, Cal Fire, and also LA County Op Area sent a strike team up to assist us as well. Like I mentioned, 400 calls for service. Of those, we've had countless rescues. We've had 6 helicopter rescues with the hoist, 2 of those just occurring this morning. So if you guys don't know, Santa Barbara County is 3,000 square miles. For us to access some of these areas, we're finding this morning nearly 400 residents that were stranded in the Paradise Rancho Oso area. So we're still getting out there and still trying to find people. I want to make sure that I recognize the community for evacuating. Thank you for doing that. It makes our job a lot easier and it helps us to get out and see the other area. So thank you for always doing that. We know that it's repetitious, but we do appreciate it. I want to thank all the other cooperators here today as well, OEM, EOC, and the county personnel, and our stakeholders from the cities, districts that have also helped us a long way to make these ends meet. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I'd like to bring up Santa Barbara City Mayor Randy Rouse.
Excuse me, sir. Thank you and good afternoon. So we were well aware the storm was on the way due to the professional work done by the National Weather Service at Oxnard. And we've gone from a public safety stance of search and rescue to a recovery and cleanup mode. We would encourage all of our residents to heed directions from our public safety officials. Driving through flooded streets has proved to help us abandon about 100 cars last night. We also lost a fire engine as well as a couple of other trucks due to flood waters in our rescue attempts. So stay out of the flooded areas if you can. City crews are currently going around and assessing the damage from the storm. The major rains have passed us, but the hazards still exist. So stay away from cliff edges, flooded streets, overflowing creeks and waterways. Our storm drain system did what it was supposed to do. It functioned very, very well. It was designed for, it did what it was designed for. Unfortunately, the storm was bigger than it was designed for. So it got a little overwhelmed from time to time, but clearly got rid of the water in a timely manner. There's a public health safety health advisor for the beaches with the heavy rainfall. There's stormwater runoff. There's untreated water that goes from the storm system into the creeks and out into the ocean. So those areas can cause illness if you go into the water. One of the city properties impacted by the storm was the airport, and flooding on the runway forced closure of the airport yesterday. We're working hard right now. We're trying to get service by today, by the end of the day. Updates will be coming on that. And lastly, I want to say I'm so impressed by the interagency coordination of county, city, state, and federal. We were prepared. We did our job well. And to that end, I just got a call from Congressman Adam Schiff, who's working with FEMA right now, try to help us get the relief we need going forward. And I've got a call into Congressman Salud Carbajal as well. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd also like to bring up Santa Barbara City Fire Chief Chris Males.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. I just wanted to provide a quick little update about Santa Barbara City, but just to tie into Mayor Rouse's words, there's a theme at this county called One County, One Team. And I think that it's representative of the fact that we have cities and counties here that are all working as one team. Disasters cross borders, they cross jurisdictions. They don't stick in a city, they don't stick in a county. It's really important that we work seamlessly together. This was a significant disaster response, and all of us worked very well together in fire and law enforcement to make sure that this was mitigated. As Mayor Rouse said, the National Weather Service did a great job of preparing for this. We actually were prepared starting last week with the storm that occurred, and we had a lot of our infrastructure set up over the weekend in preparation for this incident. So we had a good 3 or 4 days notice and preparations began, fire, law enforcement, public works, et cetera, in the city of Santa Barbara for this. The incident really began Sunday night about midnight and really terminated as far as the emergency response this morning at approximately 8 o'clock. In the city of Santa Barbara, the city fire department ran 110 calls for service during that time. Many of them were rescues, people in vehicles, elevators out, people stuck in their houses, gas main breaks, et cetera. So we received a myriad of call types. At first light this morning, we deployed fire apparatus and police units throughout the entire city. We did a high-level analysis or triage of the city, and then we followed it up late this morning and into the afternoon with targeted teams that consisted of fire, police, public works, and building officials that went out and surveyed the major impact areas. The areas that were significantly impacted within our city are exactly what you would expect: the Lower East Side, the Lower West Side, the waterfront, Sycamore Canyon, Old Coast Highway, Coast Village Road, et cetera. Later on in this press conference, we will discuss the repopulation. But just to give you a high-level understanding, the city is doing very well considering. We have literally been out on almost every street surveying, and we are finding that the city is actually in really good shape. So we have a very methodical approach from here on out, and we have a good plan moving forward, and the community will be well cared for. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next up, I'd like to bring up Santa Barbara City Police Chief Kelly Gordon.
Good afternoon. I'd just like to echo the comments that the fire chief brought to us. You know, this has been a team effort all the way from public safety to public works to all the team members within the team, within the city, as well as all of our county partners. Just a little perspective from 6 p.m. Sunday night to this morning at 8 a.m. Just Santa Barbara Police Department alone ran 160 calls related to this event, not other type of calls, but specific to people trapped in cars, in their homes, needing evacuation. So we did a lot of rescues besides just on the fire side, but on the police department side, we had increased our staffing. So at the peak, we had approximately 30 police officers plus 20 support staff to support the city and everything that was happening in the city. So preparation went a long way, as well as all of the public safety partners. I would just like to really also emphasize what the mayor spoke of is please help all of us help you. Please do not go around barricades. Do not move barricades. Please do not go into areas where there's still standing water. There are still some hazards. Although we're doing well, it wouldn't take much for us to not be doing well or to have a loss of life, because it doesn't take very much for that to happen. There's a lot of unpredictability with that. So please do not go around barricades. We know everyone wants to get home. We want to help you get home, but we also want our public works and all of our folks to be able to do their jobs so that we can do that for everyone safely. So please help us help you. That would be really my biggest message to everybody is please don't move the barricades. Please help us help you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Gordon. Next up, we'll be starting with county representatives. I'd like to bring up Santa Barbara County Sheriff Bill Brown.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Bill Brown, the Sheriff of Santa Barbara County, and I am pleased to be able to announce officially that effective immediately, the lifting of the evacuation orders for the Montecito community, the Cave Fire Burn Scar, and the shelter-in-place order for the Alisal Burn Scar go into effect. The lifting of those orders goes into effect. There are still going to be some restricted area exceptions to that and some limited closures to allow the floodwaters to drain and recede and to allow road crews to clear some more debris out of roadways and allow for the safe passage of those who are attempting to get back home. The most significant of that will probably be North Jameson Lane, which is the road that runs parallel to the 101 freeway. That will be closed between Sheffield Drive and Olive Mill Road. It is anticipated that this will be for a relatively short period of time. Perhaps we'll be able to open it up maybe even as early as this evening. But in the meantime, it will be closed. It will be open in those navigable portions of the road to those who live on La Vuleta and Tiburon Bay Lane, the two of the streets that go off of that road, or off of the lane rather, and it will be available to just show your identification that you're from that area, and we will let you through. There will be other areas, as mentioned, that will be barricaded and signposted. Please stay away from those areas as well. There will be a number of them, and that number will eventually diminish as the potential problems or threats are dealt with in some of those areas. Much of this has to do with debris that still remains in the area. The storm that we just experienced was a significant and powerful weather event, one in a series of storms that have and will continue to hit Santa Barbara County. It looks like we will have a break in the weather until this weekend, when another of these atmospheric river storms is forecasted to come into our area. We will once again work closely with the National Weather Service, with our allied fire protection agencies, with our other city, county, and federal partners, and the Office of Emergency Management to do everything we can to analyze the potential of the impending storm and what possible threat it may pose to our community. This most recent storm that we just experienced was heavier than anticipated, and rain deluged our entire county, but the South County area was especially impacted with unprecedented, and historic rainfall levels over the past 7 days. The storm dropped more than a foot of rain across the entire Camino Cielo ridgeline in a 24-hour period. Those are the mountains that are above the Montecito and Summerland, Carpinteria area. The flood control rain monitor on the San Marcos Pass registered over 21 inches of rain in the past 7 days and close to 30 inches of rain over the past 30 days. Rain continued throughout Monday, and as the storm progressed, we saw creeks swell above their banks, localized flooding in both rural and urban areas, causing extensive damage. Trees and power lines down, rocks and mudslides of varying degrees, a sinkhole in the Orchid area, and the closure of many major roadways throughout the county, including the 101 freeway and Highway 154. It wasn't easy, and I want to thank, in particular, all of the flood control, the roads, and the utility crews who were out there, and all of our first responders who they supported, all of our shelter workers, all of those who staffed, operated, and supported the Emergency Operations Center and the incident management team. Thank you all for your important work. I have said it before, but it bears repeating. We know that evacuations are inconvenient hardships in many ways, and we do not make a decision to evacuate lightly. Rather, we want to ensure the safety of our community members during these difficult, challenging, and, as we saw in this case, rapidly changing disastrous events. We thank everyone who complied with the evacuation orders for their cooperation. And lastly, I want to thank the entire community at large for your support and your resilience through this and other disastrous events that we have experienced. We appreciate your support of this team of teams who are proud to be there for you during these major emergencies. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff Brown. I'd like to bring up next from Santa Barbara County Public Works Deputy Director Julie Hagan.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to be giving you an update from Public Works. I'm going to start with flood control. All of the debris basins are full or partially full. We are currently working with the California Office of Emergency Services to get federal support to help clear our basins. We're going to try to start that work as soon as possible, tomorrow at the latest. We need to clear about 500,000 cubic yards of material in a matter of weeks. So once we get them out here, we're going to be asking them to work 24/7 until we get the basins cleared. As you know, it's the beginning of the winter. There will be more storms coming, so we want to make sure we're prepared. We are going to start taking material to the beach tomorrow. Prior taking it to the beach, we will be taking it to a processing center and testing the material to make sure it's okay to take it to the beach. We'll be separating out all the wood and material that can't go there. The silver lining here is Kachuma will be 75% full by the end of today. We're working with the Bureau of Reclamation currently. We're going to need to release water before the end of this week. So it's going to fill by the end of this week. So it's pretty amazing. So transportation update, we have all of our crews out clearing roads, rock, debris, trees. We're continuing our assessments. If you have to drive on storm damaged or mountain roads, use extreme caution or stay out of the area. The message that, the sheriff and the police have given you today. We currently have 47 road closures. A few road highlights are as follows. Bonita School Road Bridge at the levee may be compromised. Stay out of the area. We have teams currently assessing that area. Paradise Road has multiple mudslides all the way along the road. The sheriff is the fire is clearing the road. It's not safe for the public. We are getting crews in there to assess the slope stability to make sure it's safe to drive. Tepesquay Canyon, the roads are impassable. We're unable to get in there at this point in time. East Mountain Drive, a portion of it was washed away near Cold Springs debris basin. That's going to be closed for an extended period of time. Halama Road, there was a culvert failure, and Gibraltar Road, portions are washed away. That too will be closed for an extended period of time. And then from our Resource Recovery Division, all waste management facilities are operational today. Waste collection was suspended today in Montecito. That route will be rescheduled for Saturday. And as of tomorrow, all routes should be operating normally. I want to thank all of the county staff and flood control and transportation staff that have been out there since daylight. And that's it. End of report. Thank you.
Thank you, Public Works Deputy Director Julie Hagan. Next up, I'd like to bring from California Highway Patrol, Captain Michael Logie.
Good afternoon, everybody. My comments will be brief. First, I'd just like to echo some of the comments already talked about. It takes a village to work through these types of incidents, and through the community cooperation and the professionalism of the staff that you see behind me and the crews that are still out there, we're able to get through it. We still have work to do. I'd like to speak to primarily is the road closures. I have good news. Southbound 101 is open. No obstructions all the way through Ventura County. Northbound 101 will be opened. We're going to have at least one lane open no later than 5 p.m. So we're hoping to have the whole freeway open. We're just waiting on some work up at Gaviota where the mudslide came down. So fingers crossed that holds. As far as SR 154 goes, there are several rock slides over there. So Caltrans is prioritizing the work that they do, and the 101 corridor obviously takes priority. So the 154 will be addressed as soon as we get the 101 open. There are several other closures. SR 192 has several locations where there's water overflow and debris on the roadway, in which case we have to address those in the matter of priority as well. SR 217 is open. And as far as going to Ventura County, Caltrans has worked, District 7 on the Ventura County side has worked to free up that traffic there. So as soon as we get traffic flowing through there, we'll have District 5 move up further and clean up the rest of San Ysidro and Gaviota. If anybody has any questions, I'll be sure I'll take them. Otherwise, in the report. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Captain Logie. We're kind of getting towards the end here, and then we'll go into questions. Next up, I would like to introduce First District Board of Supervisor Doss Williams.
Well, I'm pleased to be here today because in 20 years of doing this, I've been in many disaster press conferences that are a lot harder and a lot more painful than this, right? And I know folks who lived on the waterfront long enough to remember the storms of the 90s or Lower State, or whether you lived in Montecito and Carpinteria and you thought of 5 years ago, there was a feeling that was infectious of just feeling like, oh no, not again. We must be cursed. And I know that can even infect, first responders. So I really want to thank them for remaining positive. Our police, our fire, our sheriffs, our road crews from Public Works, CHP, each and every one of you that have been out there working to keep us safe. You have the thanks of the people of Santa Barbara County. I think, given the hundreds of calls for service, the unimaginable amount of water coming down, the fact that we have come through this storm in Santa Barbara County without major injury proves we're not cursed, but in fact we're blessed. And that's a hard thing to maybe process if your property experienced damage or from the hassle and the stress or a frightening moment on the freeway or on the roads yesterday. But given the scale of the rain event, we passed through close to unscathed and will be even stronger in the future.
Thank you, Supervisor Williams. From Santa Barbara County, Director of Office of Emergency Management, I'd like to bring up Kelly Hubbard.
Thank you. I'd like to just provide some resources now that we're starting to go back into this lifting of the evacuation orders. I just want to reinforce what resources are available for the community. The Office of Emergency Management and our partners here recognize this is a long road for our community members, knowing that the evacuation is lifted, but there's many damages to roads and inaccessibility for the community. We're going to continue to operate those emergency shelters for the community. There are some changes in that. The Wake Center will continue to be open. As of now, the Veterans Memorial Building in Carpinteria will be continued to open. The La Colima Center in the city of Santa Barbara is working to close. So please, if you're still looking for a location, you haven't found evacuation center yet, please don't go there. Go to the Wake Center or the Veterans Memorial Building in Carpinteria. Again, if we have residents in North County, and we know we have damages in North County as well. And so if we have residents in North County, please call that call center so that we can identify those needs for sheltering and establish a shelter if needed for those residents in North County. Let me make sure I have it here. So the call center is, again, 833-688-5551. Residents can also call 211 and go to readysbc.org. Additionally, what I'd like to bring up is the next part, the recovery part, when we start talking about people coming back to their homes and their businesses and maybe discovering damages. So we're working with the California Office of Emergency Services and FEMA on any individual assistance or SBA assistance that might be available to those community members. Also looking to see if we can open a local assistance center. That's where we provide resources that may be available from our state and federal and local partners. We may be doing this virtually since there are impacts across the entire state, and we're not sure we can get our state and federal partners locally. So just pay attention. We'll try to get that information out as quickly as possible. That's where we maybe get resources to help you with looking at documentation, paperwork, insurance, commission, those kinds of resources. So again, please pay attention to Ready SBC. We'll get that out and we can probably do a media advisory or something when we get that information together. Additionally, all of the cities and the county are working on building safety assessments. So we're going through the process of going out and inspecting buildings that might have had damages. And for the county unincorporated area, if you have damages and you're unsure of the safety of your home, you can call the call center and we will pass that information along to county building and safety for their response and support to you. Again, that call center number 833-688-5551. More information will be posted to Ready SBC as well as we continue to put that information together about safety assessments of residential properties and businesses. Thank you.
And thank you for those comments. Lastly, I'd like to bring up our incident commander, Chief Stornetta. I may have misspoke earlier when I said ops chief. So it's our incident commander of Incident Management Team 3, Chief Stornetta.
Yeah, thank you. In closing, there's been one common theme here today. It's community, it's teamwork, it's one team, it's collaboration. We couldn't have done this without the success of the team. And there's a lot of representation from the South here, and I talk about the county, but we can't forget our partners up in Santa Maria, Guadalupe, Lompoc. We've provided service to them and they've provided service for us. So we've all been working together. So that's been very important for the success. I leave you with this, and this is something I mentioned to all our crews at our operational briefing yesterday morning, was the strength of the team is in the member. The strength of the member is in the team. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We're going to open up to questions now. Do we have any questions?
Well, Dave Mason, News Press. President Biden has extended the California Declaration of Emergency, the Federal Declaration of Emergency in California to include Santa Barbara and Slow counties. What will that mean for us as far as people be able to get their insurance as far as any federal assistance that might be coming?
Okay. I'd like to bring up Office of Emergency Management, Kelly Hubbard.
So there's two processes associated with the federal declaration, and we're waiting for that official notice in writing. There's a process associated with the government entities and in the county and collection of our damage and costs so that we can work with them on reimbursement and recovery and restoration of any damages to our critical infrastructure and facilities and those response costs. The other part of that is the individual assistance. And so the reason why I'm pointing out we're waiting for that letter is that typically identifies all of the different programs that may be available. So concepts like, and that's also where we'll have that at the local assistance center. So that will help us identify whether concepts like the Small Business Administration is available, resources for our agricultural community as well, for our individuals that might need individual assistance from FEMA. The federal assistance for residents does tend to be concepts like low income loans, in which case we're also going to be working with our local community based organizations and nonprofit partners to identify what disaster resources may be available to support our community members that might not be loans, but more of money if they need to, for instance, just replace some clothes to get them started. It doesn't replace having insurance or those kinds of concepts, but some resources to help get them reset on their feet.
I've also got a call from the California Insurance Commissioner, and he believes that this is Thomas Fire related, at least down here in the Montecito and western part of Carpinteria area, and that could affect people's ability to be reimbursed from insurance.
Do we have any further questions?
How concerned are you for the next round of rain this weekend? And do you anticipate more evacuations or think the infrastructure can handle it?
Do we have someone who wants to speak on weather? Okay. Chief Stornetta.
We've discussed this at the command post and with some of our partners. We got really tested these last couple of days with this much rainfall, upwards of 17 inches up in the San Marcos Pass. These next storms coming in, we're looking at Sunday and Tuesday. Now we really know how much saturation we can handle right now. So we'll keep a very close eye on it, and all the partners here will be communicating much like we have before. And with the sheriff's direction, I mean, we're going to look at evacuations if it's needed, but this really tested what our capacity was. So even though it was a bad outcome, it still gave us a lot of information and data to work from.
Will the basins be able to handle this new rain? Are they that full?
So this morning we did a couple things from Cal OES. They provided a flight at 10,000 feet, and it's called FIRUS. They did a lot of filming for us. We looked at that film. I know Public Works and Flood Control also looking at the basins. We checked the nets up there. There's no big boulders in the nets. It's all intact. So we've been doing a lot of that research. We're not done, but we're still gathering all that information.
Thank you, Chief. Are there any other questions?
How would you describe the extent of the damage as far as any structure damage, the extent of how degree and quality of cause of the damage?
Bring up Chief Stornetta again. Thank you.
I can just give you some preliminary reports from the field. There's some major infrastructure damage to a lot of roads. I think it was mentioned by Julie earlier. There's a lot of access problems. Homes wise, I know in the Guadalupe area, there's a lot of homes damaged out there from a break out there with a lot of water. I know the Orchid area by Union Valley, there's some severe damage on the roadway and probably about 30 to 40 homes and everything down south here. So it's quite extensive. We're out there getting all that now. We have damage assessment teams out there gathering all that data, and we're providing it all just so in the end, if there is some type of declaration, we have it all.
Any further questions? Okay, great. Thank you for your time, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. And this concludes the 110 briefing.